G'day everyone, Jason Nunn from Fisherman's Warehouse Marine, Sweet Street at Warners Bay, your Newcastle Honda marine dealer. And of course it's nice and overcast and a little bit cooler today, being Thursday, than it was the other day. What a shocker, 40 degrees, and it was horrible. This weekend marks the beginning of a lot of game tournaments in our part of the woods, around about 6 weeks. In fact, this weekend, the Lake Macquarie Game Fishing Club Big Fish Bonanza, 1st and 2nd of February, and of course offshore and out wide, a lot of fish at the present moment. Tides, most important for this weekend. 11:12 high tide on Saturday morning, 197 big tide. Today was 201, so some very big high tides. 544 low tide, around about 0.26. So on the bar on Saturday afternoon, it will be quite, look, it won't be too bad. It'll be low tide, but the wind direction is going to favour the competition, and certainly anglers and boats in general heading in and out of the bar, because it's predicted to be southeast winds around about 13 to 18 knots approximately. It might get a bit better at some stages, but the sou'easters are one of those winds that is what you see is what you get, and it's very favourable. Sunday 10 to 15 out of the east, absolutely perfect. So if you still haven't entered the competition and you've got the opportunity to do so, we're taking entries right up till tomorrow afternoon. So this weekend looks absolutely perfect. We've got some fantastic reports about offshore, so we're going to jump straight in. We've got a really good message this week and a good discussion with Mark McDonald. He was out there on the weekend and he encountered yellowfin tuna. Now, a lot of guys wouldn't think that you're going to see yellowfin tuna out there in almost 27 degree water. 26.8 was common. Absolutely hot as, but not a lot of colour. So a lot of temperature, no real colour, but yellowfin on the mids, between the mids and just south of the mids. A lot of fish around that 20 kilo or better, but Mark and the team, they fought one for over 2 hours, ended up breaking the rod in the end, trying to handle on it and lost it very close to the boat. Some big tropical fish, I think, some of these big yellowfin coming down, those northern fish moving through that water column. It's going to be interesting this week because you've got wahoo out there, you've got these yellowfin, you've got some very good dolphin fish on the shelf at the moment, and a lot of marlin, a lot of good black marlin. And black marlin out there at the present, 70 to 100 kilo or better. So they're not those little guys, those 30, 40 kilo jobs, they're proper fish. And I know Darren Ham and the crew, they fought a fish for over 2 hours and it was over that 100 kilo bracket. So big black marlin out the moment. No doubt with that temperature, there'll be big blues, and of course, heaviest marlin this weekend for the Big Fish Bonanza, $5,000. So an opportunity to get out there and run wide. Looking very, very good, and of course, a lot of stripes. I know Okaj, Matt Smith and the team, they got 4 marlin from 5 last Saturday. So guys are catching them out there, and they're all the way along the coast. Some good bites up around Port Stephens as well, as we have inshore. There's still black marlin, smaller black marlin, in on that inshore situation, Port Stephens, south. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens on the farm. Water temp around about 23 to 24 degrees. So no doubt there will be dolphin fish in there on that 100-metre line, and no doubt there will be stripes and or blacks. But it'll give everyone the opportunity, not just those in the competition, to go out and start to fish around, because it's not going to get any better than what it is at present. Spoke to Brent Hancock this week. Some very good snapper getting caught up off Broughton, north of Broughton up towards Searles, and certainly south, even down to Barooby. Some very good fish in excess of 6 kilo. The dirty water, we've spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. When this water gets as dirty as what it has on the back of these big southerlies, these big changes, these big swells, it dirties it right up. You see big fish on the inshore fishery. Good snapper even off the rocks, but those inshore reefs in particular, very much, it's just tailor-made for catching snapper with that dirty water. They don't necessarily like that real clear water, so a great advantage this weekend, get out there. You're just starting to get into the first quarter of the moon as well. So we're just coming out of the back of that dark cycle. Perfect opportunity to get out. And again, I don't think those winds are going to be too bad. The beaches, of course, look, there's still a lot of whiting around, but we're now starting to see just a glimmer of hope with those tail and now starting to mount up. One thing that has disappeared out there, guys, just getting back to that offshore scene, There's not a lot of bonito. Those bonito were virtually disappeared. There's the odd one around, but no numbers like we had around about a month ago. So that, I think it's more dolphin fish, marlin at this stage of the game. There's the odd cobia at Port Stephens. That water will start to push through. So I think over the next month we've got some exciting stuff that's going to physically happen. The estuary itself, still a lot of whiting around us. Everything's starting to settle. Remember, school goes back next week. A lot of the holiday makers now have moved on and they've gone back to work. So it's going to start to take that. The old lake taking a big deep breath now after the last 5 weeks. Good whiting on the flats. Start to use surface lures, guys. Tube worms in particular, absolutely perfect. And they're a gun bait for whiting. But I still think on those tides early in the morning, you'll have an advantage to get down there and start using some of those surface lures on those whiting. They're only in a couple of foot, maybe 2 or 3 foot of water, and try to fish the change of the tide. There's some very nice brim in the system as well, but some good mulloway. And there's still a few bait schools around, guys, but you've got to be in that center part of the lake where the better bait schools are. There's been some nice mulloway there, and there's a lot of big flatheads. So look, if you are live baiting or even dead baiting for mulloway in the lake of an evening, just use circles, because remember, you can't take flathead over 70 centimetres, and there's less opportunity to gut hook them with those circle hooks. Very, very important. Still the odd king around, obviously still the odd one at the bridge, but the squid numbers have started to improve, and now we're going to start to move into February. As of this weekend, you're going to see a big improvement on what's going on. Still some crabs around as well, but I think this weekend it's all going to be about game fishing. Now, the weigh-ins down at Swansea RSL, well, basically I'd say you'll start to see people come in on Saturday afternoon in particular and into Sunday around about 6 p.m. through till 7. Obviously, the weighmasters will be down there weighing it through. A lot of guys now, probably 95% of the anglers now tag and release, so there'll be a bit of flag activity there. But no doubt, with the yellowfin and big dolphin fish off the shelf, there'll be a few of those getting weighed, and no doubt, big marlin, the possibility of big sharks. So it's all going to happen. All going to happen down at the RSL. Fishing finishes at 5:10. I'm doing the sked for the next few days, so I'll be plenty of radio chat. Look forward to catching up down there. We'll see you next week.